Hey guys, Chris from NCG here, and we're here with the first place Portrush WCQ. What did you play today?
Odd Eyes Pendulum.
And what were your matchups?
Round 1 was Monarch, round 2, I don't actually know what that was. Monarch, 2 Cosmo, so it was 2 Cosmo, 2 Monarchs, and the Mirror, that's it.
And you finished with a 4
wins and a draw.
Yeah. Well, do you want to go through the main deck then?
Sure. Go through the obvious ones first then. 3 Master Pendulum. He's the best vanilla. Everyone loves him. What's not to like? 3 Vex Pendulum. I'm playing Twin Painful Decisions in the deck and a Rescue Rabbit as well, so it's important to have extra millers to make this guy live. Make those guys live all the time. This guy's not particularly good, but he's a vanilla monster and you got to play him for Dracopals, haven't you?
Yep.
3 of this guy. He's the best card ever. Everyone loves him.
There's my Pendulums are still a deck.
Yep. Best card. 3 Funky Lizards.
3.
Yeah, Pot of Readings, Mad Skills. And it's also a high scale.
Yeah, fair enough.
You got to keep your searchable targets high for the Pendulum Sorcerer so that you can keep going into the late game. 2 Abductor.
I was discarded then.
I actually only resolved this like twice, maybe 3 times tops. I kind of want to find space for 3 because it's so ridiculous if you open it with Painful Decision or Sky Iris. I'm struggling a lot for space at the moment, so it's 2 at the moment. It did its job, it's level 4. 2 Eccentric. High scale, Space Typhoons. Not many people play mini traps anymore, so it doesn't really get used for that very much.
Yeah.
But it's also an exiled force which you can use to, 1-for-1 with a Dark Lady if you need to, 1-for-1 with a Monarch if you have to as well.
Yep.
2 Summon Monks.
I was that card.
This guy is like your 7th and 8th copies of Pendulum Sorcerer. So normally you'll have like any Pendulum, level 4 Pendulum Monster in your hand, you play your Pendulum Monster in your scale, summon your Summon Monk, discard a spell and get Pendulum Sorcerer, and then you can blow up both your Pendulum Sorcerer and your guy in your scale to go and get Guitar, Till and Monk Keyboard, and you get some extra stuff off that.
Yep.
I find that the deck is so much more powerful once you've access to Pendulum Sorcerer that getting into play as soon as possible is really, really important. Currently the count is 13 spells to make this guy live. You've got to be careful when you're sideboarding to make sure that you don't drop too low on the spell count, otherwise it becomes less good.
How detrimental is he got Max Seed or any sort of
You
hand
didn't
trap?
actually get Max Seed today. I think maybe once. Usually if you get Max Seed, you get your Pendulum Sorcerer, you blow up your guys, you give them the extra card from the Pendulum, someone you sit on your like 4 or 5 monster board.
Yep.
And then usually that's enough to survive till the next turn, and if it's not, well, their hand was good enough that you probably weren't going to beat it anyway, being fair. So, and then there's the one-off patrol. Non-Pendulum monsters first, 1 second donkey, more access to Pendulum Sorcerer. This guy works pretty well. If you're lacking a high scale as well and you've got a Master Pendulum, you can play your Master Pendulum, play a scale. Summon this guy, get a high scale, use Master Pendulum to destroy your other scale, and then play your high scale and get your guys back. He's also a good search off the Monk Keyboard. So with the Summon Monk play that you get earlier, if you get Guitar Till and Monk Keyboard off your searches for your Pendulum Sorcerer, you can play the Guitar and play the Monk Keyboard, get the second donkey, and then you can Pendulum Summon the second donkey as part of your Pendulum Summon, which gives you a free Xyz off the Monk and the second donkey to make Dweller or, well, Dweller. Every time. Rescue Rabbit. Great when you draw him. Had a ridiculous board today when I was able to Pendulum Summon this guy. Usually just get 2 Masters, Pendulum, and summon your Dynasties to get 2 guys in your extra deck.
Yep.
You can also use him with this to make Beast Ice Pendulum Dragon if you draw him dead later on. And then the Pendulum Monster Brigade. 1 Skull Cravat Joker, 1 Monk Keyboard, 1 Guitar Till.
Is one enough?
Usually yes. I took out the other one to play this, the Odd Eyes Unicorn, which I don't really like particularly much. It doesn't do a great deal when you put it in the Pendulum scale.
Yep.
I guess I know it gets getting boarded out a lot, but you can't play really multiple Sky Irises without multiple targets.
Yep.
I had the game earlier where I drew both Sky Irises and the one Light Phoenix, having boarded out the Unicorn, and that game was only saved by a timely Raigeki. So you got the one that's like me fun. 1 Silver Claw.
Yep.
This guy is a level 4 guy. You can switch to 5 scale if you get your Pendulum Sorcerer. Use your Monk Keyboard, you get this guy, gives you a free level 4 creature in your extra deck. He's also relevant if you combo him with the Pendulum Sorcerer boost. That makes all your guys big enough to start attacking over Dark Destroyers and Forerunners and all those horrible things that the Cosmo players throw at you. And then this guy's really obvious.
Yeah, I lost it. Insane.
So 27 monsters total.
Right.
4 of which are non-fiction. Let's get rid of one. Spells, 13. Don't play any traps. Don't like trap cards, they're all terrible. We need this many to make this guy work. So I'm on 2 Ignite Reload. To turn, this card turns all of your really shit hands where you draw like 2 lizard draws and a guitar tool or something, no, not a guitar tool, a unicorn or something like that into hands full of actual cards.
Yeah.
The whole, you know, you can't draw cards for the rest of the turn doesn't really apply because you'll usually use it after the guitar tool search. So it's just a way to recycle things. It lets you shuffle back the Dracopals into the next search again with Pendulum Sorcerer. You can shuffle back Masters and Vectors and make your Rabbit and your Painful Decisions live. It's just all around decent.
At the very least, there's an upstart Bob.
Yeah. Usually it'll shuffle. You can shuffle away like a Master Pendulum and you draw 2 cards. I did that today and drew the 1 Luster Pendulum and won the game that turn. 2 Painful Decision. This card sets up everything. I'm tempted by 3 of this. Just because it's an Abductor. It's such a ridiculous opening hand. You can get your Master Pendulum. Well, put one in the graveyard for Dinosaur as well. Card's still too good. 2 Sky Iris.
2 targets.
Destroy, 2 targets, 2 Iris. Destroying your own cards for breaking even in Pendulum decks is still as ridiculous as what it was before. It's made even more silly by the fact that since this is continuous, you can then blow it up with Pendulum Sorcerer for extra cards.
Yep. And a protection score.
Not that much said. Apart from this is again utterly ridiculous with Magical Abductor.
Yep.
Play this, play a scale, get the unicorn. Still doesn't have the unicorn's actually good actually. And then you play the unicorn and that's 3. And then you can go searching for all your friends.
You can protect scales from MSTs and something.
Yeah. I didn't actually know I did that. 2 Space Typhoons. These cards are dead simply because of like strikes and warnings and the off chance of domain and things like that. They weren't actually that relevant today, but they're extra spells for someone to discard if you need to. You can board them out for Dark Hole in matchups where you don't particularly need them, but you can't really play a Pendulum deck and just not have any outs to strike.
Yeah.
Every deck plays something that you can hit with this nowadays as well.
Yeah.
So there's always the benefit there. If you open this and you can set it against the Cosmo deck, you can take Fire King Island before they do anything with it as well, which is another. It's not great, but it's fine. And then the 1-off Brigade, 1-up Start Goblin.
Yeah.
I really wish I could play like 5 of these.
39 cards, still better for them.
Yep. The 1 Draco face off. This card's still ridiculous even at 1.
Yeah.
1 Raigeki. Also ridiculous even at 1. so many top deck Raigekis in Draco face offs. So many. Cards are absolutely ridiculous. The 1 Instant Fusion for Free Dwellers. This can also double as another MST if you want with Diamond Direwolf. It makes Castell. I only play 1 because of the 1 Norden. I don't really want the second one because drawing 2 of them is like the worst thing ever in the world. I'm playing the 1 Soul Charge instead as the last spell. Didn't actually get to activate this today, but the theory behind having an extra Ignister, or if you get this to bring back Harbinger and Dinoster when they're dead, you know, your opponent gets rid of your Harbinger, you get to play this, bring back Dinoster Harbinger, or Dinoster Ignister Harbinger, and that's completely ridiculous.
Bring back stuff like Norden, FTV Sense of Fusion.
You can bring Norden as well if you need to. It's just, it brings back a lot of guys, basically. That's basically the main board. Potential changes. Like I said, I'd like a 3rd Abductor. I don't really like Odd Eyes Unicorn, and I'd quite like a 3rd Decision, but I don't think I can cut the Unicorn because it's the search for the high scale and I skip the things like. There's the potential to play like 1 Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, but his scale is so bad, and you can't ever bring him back without the Unicorn to Pendulum Summon him anyway. So he's just like a one-off search.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, we'll do the extra deck next because it's the part that I actually like. So things that actually work today, there's this guy obviously.
Oh yeah.
I played 3 Dinoster. This card is now the basis of your engine. The ability to special summon like multiple copies of this per turn, you can make a Harbinger out of this. It makes Painful Decision utterly ridiculous. So yeah, he's fantastic. I played the 1 Beast Eyes Pendulum Dragon to make out of Silver Claw and Vector Pendulum, or 2nd Donkey and Vector Pendulum, because it's level 8 as well. The burn damage not relevant sometime. I never actually made this, so it's one of the things that might get cut. It's basically there because we don't have Utopia and Lightning. If we had Lightning, I'd drop this for Lightning in a heartbeat. In fact, it was a recurring theme, but not having an Xyz that was big enough to attack over things became a problem. So maybe like Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon might be on the cards again. That guy's really good.
The pain of being European.
The 1 Norden for the Instant Fusion. The 1 rank 8 is Harbinger. This is just the best rank 8 at the moment. The only other reason to play, the only thing you can play with item is Felgrand or Lancelot. There isn't really enough extra deck space to play the whole Pain Gainer and 7 Sins package. But it makes Lancelot worthwhile. This guy's just better than any other reason. You can make this guy a Dweller. It is really difficult for decks like Burning Abyss to win. If you can make that on the first turn against the Cosmo deck as well, then they're in for a bad time unless they've hard drawn Dark Destroy. The other Ixies are Castel and Direwolf for really obvious. 2 Magister Paladins. I don't think I actually ever made 2 Magister Paladins today, but the ability to make one on the first turn and then one later on means that you really can't afford to play less than that. Twin Dwellers, best guy. You make this against literally everything. It's nice to have 2, so you can throw one to the wall on the first turn to survive, and then make another one later to close out the game. If there was more space, I'd consider 3. Cards far too good in this format. It's good. It beats everything.
Yep.
Daggers to Emerald. Didn't make this guy all today. He's there primarily to get another Ignis to prominence, though you can use his bring back Masters and Vectors. Again, if you play, because you're more zealous with your one Ignis to prominence nowadays, you don't just throw it into things. There's less of a chance, but sometimes you're forced to, so that's what he's there for. He also recycles things like Dynosters and the one Castel if you need Abyss Dwellers, things like that.
Yep.
So you can get extra copies. And Evil Storm Nightmare. Didn't make this guy either today. The theory is that you don't want to leave just like 3 or 4 monsters on board against Cosmo.
Yeah.
Because they're quite good at killing all your creatures. So I thought that, you know, if I was going to make something, I didn't really want Rafflesia because the bottomless Trapole is another card I don't want to draw ever.
Yeah.
Giant Hand does literally nothing to Cosmo or to Burning Abyss. So this guy was like sort of like the best of a bad bunch of options, basically.
Yep.
Like I said, I didn't make him. I might cut this for Dark Rebellion and Siege Dragon. It's going to be one of these guys that gets cut for it anyway.
Fantastic. Any changes you really make the extra deck?
Like I say, I really want Lightning, and there's a couple of things that I was... Like I say, there's things like Giant Hand, there's Rafflesia, there's Dark Rebellion and Siege Dragon, all of which are pretty good cards. But everything else that's in here is so much more important than them.
Yep.
I think that's the only change that I think about. Yeah, these guys are the potential cuts. I think everything else is
Pretty good.
Is where I want it to be.
Yep.
Side deck. This is utterly awful. Please don't copy it. So
anyway.
I played a Kaiju sideboard option for the extra deck Monarchs and potentially for Cosmo as well. The problem that came up with it is that everything in this deck is engine cards, and there are not enough cards to like. You can see here there are 3 Gameciel. There's 1 Dagoran and 1 Godala making up the Kaiju complement. They're all level 8, so you can summon them if you need to and make Harbinger out of them.
Yep.
And the 2 Interrupted Kaiju Slumber.
Yep.
The issue is that 7 cards is a lot of cards.
Yeah.
Like there aren't 7 cards on my main board that I would like to take out on a regular basis to put all these cards in. And then when you consider that you also want to board in the 3 Max C for the Cosmo matchup as well, that's 10 cards.
Yeah.
If there's a quarter of my deck that I can take out on a regular basis, then I probably shouldn't have played those cards in the first place.
Yeah.
So, like, a lot of this stuff just didn't, like, these guys just didn't get boarded enough.
So just
These guys are okay because he's the small one. You don't want to really give him this over Gameciel. You board this in if you're going second against the Cosmo deck. You don't want to face down Infinity. You can get rid of Dark Lady as well. Dark Lady's a bit of a problem. I think that if I was going to do this again, I'd probably replace these with straight up Dark Holes, or maybe even System Down. Like having multiple Raigekis against the Cosmo deck is fantastic, and it's great against the Monarchs as well.
Yeah.
Like just being able to get rid of the entire board and get a free swing into the face is fantastic.
Yep.
So that's the Kaiju stuff. The rest of the slots are a little bit random. There's a 3rd Space Typhoon, obviously.
Yeah.
Didn't play against any decks that played massive amounts of traps, didn't board this in. It's there primarily for Phantom Knight Burning Abyss, to be honest with you. It's the only deck that plays strikes, realistically. I had 2 Ghost Ogres for the mirror match. I boarded these in, didn't draw them. In theory, it's still very good. A lot of the decks do get to the point where they've got like the 1/1 keyboard and they'll use the search for whatever it is. You Ghost Over the keyboard and leaves them in a precarious position. And then I wanted 2 holding legs, but I could only find 1, so I had to play the one. I played 1 Denko Sekka instead.
Yeah.
I didn't actually board either of these guys in for the entire day because I didn't play any back row decks. Holding legs over Denko Sekka, you can special summon holding legs on the pendulum summon. People aren't usually going to have more than like 2 back row anyway. So if they want to use their strike on holding legs, then that's fine. I'll take the 200 life points and giant generate them anyway by locking out the second back row with the graveyard effect. Half the decks are playing Chaos Trapple anyway nowadays, so these guys are effectively the same thing. Apart from this can be pendulum summoned.
Yep.
And you can use this as material for like Dweller and get a benefit out of it later on. So I'd probably play a second one of these. I think I'm going to keep these guys in the sideboard. I quite like holding legs as a card. But realistically, the only cards I actually boarded in for the entirety of the day were the 3 Maxis.
Yep.
I boarded Gameciel in for 1 game when I thought I was going to get made to go second, and then my opponent proceeded to play second.
Oh.
That was quite upsetting. But yeah, I boarded these in. These guys are they're good against pretty much everything. So
Yeah.
if I had more space in the main board, I'd play with the main board.
Fair enough. So
I do not.
What made you play Pendulum today then?
The lack of having a Cosmo deck is the basics of it. I didn't want to play Burning Abyss or Monarchs, and the Burning Abyss deck just has such a problem getting past like huge boards of like more than one Cosmo monster. Everyone else seems to draw better with a Monarch deck than I do. Like they'll open their hand of like Return, Idia, Erebus, and all this stuff, and I open my hand and I draw like Eidos, and 3 Return of the Monarchs. I sort of look at my hand and go, well, I can't win now.
Yeah.
So I haven't played the Burning Abyss deck enough to be good enough at it to play mirror matches all day long and win them.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, thank you very much for the deck profile. Well done on your win. This is Chris from NCG signing out.